The cutest spider Halloween cake ever.
Let's see what's cooking. It's time for Yo-Yo Max 12.
Hello everyone. Starting off with 1 dozen eggs that you're going to separate. Put the yolks in one bowl, and to the yolks you'll add 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, 4 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1/2 cup of milk, and then blend that together until it's nice and smooth and well combined. Then you'll gradually add in 2 cups of all-purpose flour and blend that together. In a second large bowl, add the 12 egg whites. Now you're going to beat your egg whites on high, and when it starts to get frothy, add in 1 teaspoon of vinegar and then continue to beat, and then you'll gradually add in 1/2 cup of white granulated sugar, a little bit at a time, and continue to beat your egg whites until they are very thick and you get stiff peaks. Now you'll take those beaten egg whites and you're going to put them in the same bowl with the egg yolks. Now this makes a lot of batter, so make sure you're using a very large bowl. And then you're just going to gently fold those in until you don't see any more white streaks. Now this batter is going to make 3 thin layers for this cake. So you're going to divide this into 3 portions. And you'll also take out a little bit, maybe about 1/3 of a cup or so. Put that in a small bowl, and we're going to tint that portion black because that's the color that we're going to make our little spiders. Now you have to use a lot of black food coloring to get something this white to the color black. And what I've always found what's useful to do is you can use less food coloring if you add a little bit of cocoa powder. That brown color helps intensify the black, and it just makes it a little bit easier to get the color that you want. And then once you have your black batter, you can just set that aside. Now this is a 9 by 13 inch cookie tin, and it's really ugly, so I put foil on top of it so you wouldn't see how ugly it was. I found a pattern online. This is actually a pattern for, it was a website that had Halloween fabric. So I just printed that out in black and white, put it on top of the cookie sheet, and then I'm adding a sheet of parchment paper on top. Then I put the black batter into a piping bag with a writing tip, and then I'm just going to draw out the little spiders. Now this is sped up quite a bit. Basically, I outlined it, and then I found it better to go up in between, make a line, and then just gently fill it in and then add those little eye dots. This batter actually stays nicely put and doesn't spread much when you put it on the parchment. So you can get some actually amazing fine detail with this. I was actually pretty impressed the way it was working out. And I just did all my little spiders this way. Then I also tinted just a small amount of that batter purple, and I'm just putting dots of purple between the spiders just to give it a little bit more color. Then you're going to take this and put it in the freezer for about 20-25 minutes. You're going to tint the second portion of that cake batter orange. And I used a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow to get the color orange I wanted. And then just stir it around. Of course, the color combination is completely up to you. Then I took that orange batter and spread it on top of the spiders and the little purple dots. Now, because those were in the freezer, they're frozen and they're very chilled, so they will not blend and they won't smear when you pour that orange batter on top. However, when you do spread it around, just be super gentle because you don't want to disturb that pattern underneath. Then you're going to bake this at 375 degrees for about 10-15 minutes or so until the cake feels firm to the touch, and when you stick a toothpick in it, it comes out clean. Now for the second portion of dough, you're going to tint it purple. I'm using some of that purple batter that I had that I didn't use up when I was doing the purple dots. I had some left over, so I put that in there, and then added a little bit more purple just to get it a nice vibrant purple. And it's going to be the same thing with this one. You're going to bake it in a 9 by 13 inch pan until it is done. For mine, I didn't have another cookie sheet that size, but I did have these glass dishes that were 9 by 13, lined it with parchment, greased the parchment, and then added that cake on top. And then finally, you'll also do the same thing with the third portion. The third portion, I decided to dye orange. You could do a third color if you wanted. I decided to do orange. And then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to mix this up, put it in a baking dish, and bake it until it's done at the same temperature in about the same amount of time. Now, as soon as the one with the printing on it comes out of the oven, you're going to want to unmold it immediately. So I put a cookie sheet on top of it, and I'm going to flip it over. And of course, it's hot because it's out of the oven, Tammy. So I found myself a couple of dishcloths, and I should have probably used oven mitts, but that's just the way I am. And then you're going to flip this over. And then once it's flipped over, and you can see just how ugly my cookie sheet actually is here. That's why I hid it. You're going to remove that, peel off the aluminum foil, and then I realized that I left that piece of paper with the printing on it. I wanted to remove it before I baked it, but you know what? It didn't matter. It worked out just fine anyway. Now we're going to peel off the parchment, and here's the moment of truth. Did it work? Look at that. I was so happy when I saw this. You can't even understand. Look how beautiful that detail it is. It is exactly the way it was when I drew it on there, and it was like a little miracle. Now, you're going to let all your cake layers cool completely, and then I decided to trim off some of the edges that were a little bit thin and were kind of ugly looking. I did the same thing with all of the layers. I just trimmed off a little bit of the edges. Then I whipped up a batch of Swiss marine buttercream. Now you can use whatever kind of filling you want for this. You can use regular buttercream or even a whipped cream frosting. The recipe on the website where I found this particular cake recipe uses whipped cream filling, so I'll put a link in the description box to that website. You can go check out what they used. So I just spread out a nice thick layer of my Swiss meringue buttercream, and I even added a few little Halloween sprinkles just for fun. Then I added the purple cake layer on top of that, and then frosted it up, and added a few little sprinkles on this one too. And then I added the third and final layer, which is the one with the pattern on it. And as you can see, once these cakes are cool, they're actually very easy to handle, and they're not crumbly, and they're very easy to layer without worrying about them falling apart on you. That's why this recipe could probably be used for a cake roll as well instead of a flat cake, but that's up to you. So when I put my top layer on, I realized it was a little bit too big, so I just took a knife and just trimmed the edges. And as you can see, this cake trims up just beautifully. Nice sharp, clean edges. I had a little bit of the frosting left, so I just piped using a star tip just around the edge, and I added a few sprinkles on there just for fun, just to make it look a little bit better. The spiders on these, I just can't get over how cute they are. They turned out really well, and I don't know why I didn't know about this technique. You just imagine the different kinds of cakes you could make using this technique. The cake itself is a sponge cake. It's very light, it's delicious, and of course Swiss meringue buttercream goes just perfectly with it. I have dozens of Halloween treat recipes on my channel, and I put them all in a playlist, so maybe you can browse around and see what you might want to make for your little Halloween celebration. And thank you so much for watching.